Namaste. Today, I wanted to talk to you about something very interesting that came up a couple of weeks ago when I was talking to a client that's being supported by Leela Life. And this was binaries, deeply held assumptions in the modern world, especially in the Western world, that influence how we see the world and life generally around us, that has a big role to play in whether we are able to get to the state of well-being that we want to get to, that all of us want to get. Binaries. Binaries are, the two ends of the spectrum usually. So the binaries are, for example, inside, outside is a binary, or beginning and end is a binary. So, these are binaries through which we see the world around us. And it is particularly prevalent, even more so, in Western thought. And because Western thought is now the dominant and prevalent thought across the world, it is increasingly the dominant underlying assumption in a lot of modern thought, binaries. So it came up because in a conversation with a client, uh, I could sense that there was a binary operating in the way that person saw the world. And therefore, that person couldn't make sense out of something that I was proposing. And it was interesting to me because then it caught my attention that I need to help people see this binary so that then they can go past that and understand the journey that I'm proposing. So, as some of you know this, what Leela Life or the Leela Life method actually helps clients do is to identify, certain innate qualities that they have in them, which are truly innate to them, which are not flourishing, which are not expressed well, which are kind of dormant. And once we identify them, we support the person in reshaping their life a little bit so that they can find ways to help that quality flourish more, express more, not be dormant. Right? This is the proposition in a very short summary of what Leela Life Method does. So, in the work that we did with this particular client, we came to the conclusion that one of the innate qualities of this particular client that was there as an innate quality but was dormant and not expressed well, not flourishing, was clarity of purpose. So that was a process that took time. And at the end of that, as part of 2 or 3 such qualities that we identified as not expressed well or not flourishing, was this quality, clarity of purpose. And as part of that process, I suggested to that person that one of the dimensions that they might want to consider while reshaping every aspect of their life. So the principle is this. Before I get to that, let me explain this. The principle is this, that once you know that this particular quality is dormant, you actually explore all aspects of your life and see where all is it that I'm actually not letting this quality flourish or come out or, flower. And to see whether in every aspect of life or all those aspects of life, I can enable that to happen. So that is a very small uh, journey of continuous self-awareness to apply this to every aspect of one's life. This is what Leela Life encourages people to do, clients to do. But we support that process in multiple ways. And one of the ways in which we supported this particular client was to suggest that they might want to incorporate an interest which was there in their childhood, but had gone, had kind of got lost on the way, which is dancing. So we said, you know what? Bring dancing back into your life, but with a specific element of dancing being your focus. And that specific element was the ability of dance, like many other art forms, to help you dissolve. Now, what was the client hearing when we said this? Client heard, to support you on making your clarity of purpose flourish, go do dance. Or in other words, to flourish a mental thing called clarity of purpose, you're asking me to do a physical thing called dance. See the binary there? The mental and the physical. Now, this is a binary. This is a very profound binary that is there in almost everybody in modernity, the mental and the physical. They are two separate things and they can never mix in today's world. So the problem in the client's mind was, if this is a mental thing, how are you asking me to do a physical thing and how can that help? Such binaries get in the way of our ability to actually get to well-being for the simple reason that the human being is actually not constructed of such strict binaries. For example, in the Indic knowledge system, which has now stood the test of more than 4,000 years or more, the human being is a deeply interrelated total of what you would loosely call mental or physical or spiritual. And all of that is, totally woven into each other, almost like, strands that are so impossible to unravel. And so something like bringing the experience of dissolving through the experience of dancing has a profound impact across multiple aspects of one's life, including, therefore, a gradual ability to flourish one of those qualities. Now, it's not a one-to-one correlation. We also suggest other things that you can do, and this is not just the only thing in life. So you observe all parts of your life and see where this quality can flourish. And this was one of the ingredients of that buffet that you need to look at and bring into your own life or reshape in your own life. But the client had a problem with this. How can a mental thing be solved by a physical thing? And so it took me some time to give them the context that, first of all, it's not a direct one-to-one solution. It's not that you will do this and then suddenly this will happen. No, it's you will do multiple things. You will reshape many elements of your life. And one of the things that we recommend you bring into your life is this, the experience of dancing again. And we want you to focus on the experience of dissolving. Dissolving is a very powerful idea. I'll take a minute on that or less than that. In Sanskrit language, it's called Laya, the act of dissolving. And what that dissolving does is that in simple layman's terms, it simply makes you forget yourself. And there are many ways, incidentally, in the Indic system of arriving at an experience of dissolution. You can do that through deep meditation, for example, right? But you can also do it through aesthetic rapture of this kind, where you are deep into dance and the art of dance and the aesthetics of dance, and then you find yourself in that place where you forget yourself and you are in that place of dissolution. It's a profound experience. So it's a profound composite experience that arises out of a very physical thing called dance. So that's what we were proposing as one of the elements to be considered for the reshaping of one's life in order to support that flourishing of that quality. But it struck me that such binaries then become very difficult places for people to cross in this process of going on a journey. And one of the advantages of going into the Indic well-being system is that the Indic well-being knowledge allows you to find new frameworks that don't need you to get locked up in these binaries. And in fact, would encourage you to constantly remember that, this might be an assumption I'm making. This is a binary I'm getting locked into. And allow yourself to put the binary to one side and look at it fresh. And say, I think I might have a different way of looking at this. And the good news is the Indic well-being system does provide you different ways of looking at it. So, for example, there is no mental and physical binary in the Indic system. It's a state of being idea. In fact, when I talk about state of being, a lot of people immediately talk about the inner state of being. No, it's a state of being. There is no inner and outer binary as well. Very often people have, that's the other binary. So there are many binaries like that. So I want to leave you with this simple thought that as you go on your well-being journey, remember that you might be looking at things through deep assumptions that you have, which you're not even sometimes consciously aware of. They're just deep assumptions. And many of those assumptions are binaries. And if you can get yourself to put those binaries aside for some time and look at what you're going through and what you need to go through, it will help you craft and reshape how you see different parts of your life to get to that state of well-being where all your innate qualities flourish. Namaste.